Donald Trump could not handle himself during his town hall with ABC. He bungled one answer after the next, showed his lack of compassion for Americans, showed his lack of leadership, and more importantly, just his inability to come up with a plan during a time of crisis. Now, Laura Ingraham, Donald Trump's mommy, who comes to his rescue during interviews on Fox News, feels that Trump was ambushed by questions that you would expect the most powerful person in the country to be able to answer. Let's take a look.
Hosted by ABC News and former Clintonite George Stephanopoulos, but the DNC may as well have put the whole thing on.
You should know that some of these people voted for you last time around. Some voted for Hillary Clinton.
Why did you throw vulnerable people like me under the bus?
Why don't you support a mandate for national mask wearing? And why don't you wear a mask more often?
Why would you downplay a pandemic that is known to disproportionately harm low-income families and minority communities?
And then there was this moment.
Should pre-existing conditions, which Obamacare brought to fruition, be removed?
No.
Please stop and let me finish my question, sir. Should that be removed?
Unsurprising that Laura Ingraham would have the biggest problem with a Black woman asking an incredibly important question of Donald Trump on an issue that would negatively impact countless Americans who had previously been denied healthcare coverage because of pre-existing conditions. But anyway, John, I wanted to get your thoughts before we move on to examples of Laura Ingraham protecting poor little Donnie in the past.
Yeah, so it was an ambush. So I'm assuming that like Stephanopoulos pulled him out of Air Force One, black bagged him, dragged him over there and threw him in there. And not that he willingly went there and perhaps actually reached out to set it up, to be asked questions about the pandemic. And imagine that, thinking that, well, it's not fair to be mean to Trump about his response to the pandemic. I mean, only 200,000 people have died. Those questions were not only fair, they're 100% expected. The news came out that he told Bob Woodward that he was purposefully always downplaying it. Someone's gonna ask a question about that. That seems kind of fair. And the woman that totally was only in that montage by Laura Ingraham, because Laura Ingraham deeply hates Black people, that didn't let Trump talk over her, that insisted that she get out her question. One reason she might have done that is because the other woman earlier in the video, which had brought up the downplaying, when she said, "Why did you downplay it?" and Trump used his upplaying line, she started to cut in to say, "No, you literally said you downplayed it," and he talked over her. And the woman sort of gave up and sat down. And so that's why other people weren't going to allow that to happen. They were 100% respectful. They gave him the opportunity. That woman gave him a chance. And the woman that Laura Ingraham pointed out said today that she actually isn't going to vote for Donald Trump now as a result of that interaction.
What's amazing is that, like, okay, he's the most powerful person in the country, if not the world. And every time he fails, he uses the same excuse of like, "Oh, it was unfair to me. It was unfair to me. I'm the victim." How does anyone support that? Look, even when he was asked questions from lifelong Republicans during that town hall, he bungled it. Watch.
In the light of the ongoing protests surrounding the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the recent shooting of Jacob Blake, do you feel racial injustices are occurring in this nation? And if so, what can be done to address them?
Well, I think they were tragic events, and I do feel that we have to also take into consideration that if you look at our police, they do a phenomenal job. You'll have people choke, make mistakes, and they happen. It happens where they have to make a fast decision and some bad things happen.
Yeah, mistakes like choking people to death. I mean, look, the reality is Laura Ingraham seems a little salty about the fact that she wasn't there to protect him from himself, because he had made similar statements during a sit-down interview with Laura Ingraham, and he bungled the answer, and she tried to basically help him out. Take a look.
A choker, they choke. Shooting the guy in the back many times. I mean, couldn't you have done something different? Couldn't you have wrestled? But they choke. Just like in a golf tournament, they miss a 3-foot.
You're not comparing it to golf because, of course, that's what the media.
I'm saying people choke.
People panic.
choke.
Yeah, so it's an ambush, John, because no one's there to save him from himself, basically.
Yeah, and it's an ambush because this is now at least the third event, maybe the fourth, where he's used that new choking line of his. It's gotten a negative response literally every time, and he just keeps using it. He can't learn, he's a moron. That makes the situation an ambush.
It's just, yeah, I mean, again, he is responsible for the decisions that are made in this country. He's responsible for the policies that are implemented during this pandemic. He's responsible for at least attempting to do something productive and effective when it comes to social unrest throughout the country. He's only fueled it because he thinks that it's better for his re-election campaign to focus on it and fearmonger about how that would end up being Biden's America. No, this is Trump's America. We are falling apart as a nation. Workers have lost their jobs. Tens of millions of people remain unemployed. He is not a victim. The only way anyone could possibly see him as a victim is if they consider the fact that he's a victim of his own stupidity and ignorance.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.